person, actually, that I spoke to today reckons that they have actually had one, or they've got one or more now. They're not bloodsuckers, they're joy suckers. Just have a little think. Is there somebody that when you pick up the phone and you realise it's them on the other line, end of the line rather, causes your heart to sink? Somebody who after every conversation that you have with them makes you feel vaguely depressed or anxious, or maybe thinking that you're something of a failure. Well, that is a psychic vampire.
And here's the guy who slays them, motivational specialist Nigel Risner, along with two people he's been vampire hunting with all afternoon, Chris Eubank's wife Karen, and our favourite cabbie, Johnny Walker, who both say they want to get shot of the so-called friends who bring them down. But before we get to you two, can you explain this theory for us, Nigel, more succinctly than we've been able to do?
I think there are two groups of people we have in our lives. There's those people who are loving, nurturing, caring, supporting people. People you want to be around. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got lots of those type of people. And then there's another group of people who, and let's give you an example. Have you ever had a great weekend and you've come to the office, come to the studios, and you've had a fantastic weekend, and there's some people, what I call like ducks, that are quacking and moaning, and how do you instantly feel in that moment when they're around you? Instantly, how do you feel?
Well, it brings you down. Well, I must say that everyone here is practically perfect.
I'm sure here they are perfect, but in the outside world where we all work...
We've all met them, absolutely.
But then you've got the reverse. You can had a really long week in the studio, and then somebody says, "We want you to go to a party."
Yeah.
And when you get there's a really nice group of people, how do you feel?
Good.
Uplifted. So we have two groups of people, those loving, nurturing people, and those people I call psychic vampires, who literally drain energy from you. If you're in the office, they're called internal terrorists. and they're the same type of thing, you know. And if we have friends, they can be called energy pirates.
But are they acting knowingly? I mean, do they have a motive, or is it just that they just have that effect on you?
Well, there's a lot of people, and I'm sure you know, people have a vested interest in your life not working.
Yes, why is that? That's
Because,
Schadenfreude.
well, I've just done a whole weight loss program, and it's very interesting.
You've lost a lot, haven't you?
I've lost nearly 4 stone.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is after I lost about 2 stone, I had a whole group of friends saying to me, "You know what? I think you've lost enough already." Now, about a week before, I was very overweight and fat. But what was happening was, if they hadn't lost the same amount of weight, they didn't want me to succeed too far.
Yeah.
You see someone we were talking about, Richard Branson before, a major success. People are waiting to see him fail. And they'll be really excited if he does, because at least he'll be like all of us. And what we need to make sure for 2004, we've got the right people around us.
Right.
Now, you're going to do a little experiment on Judy to show, because we're going to show a film in a minute, how you cleanse these two of some of their vampires. How you will talk to you second.
Did you realise that you both had friends and acquaintances that came into that category? Karen, did you?
I think you do, but especially as a woman, you kind of don't like to say anything, and you kind of put up with them.
Yeah.
And
I think an awful lot of them are women, actually.
Yes.
Well, that's been in my experience.
And you kind of don't like to tell them that they're, you know,
pains.
sort of, yeah.
What about you, Johnny?
Well, the ones I borrow money off of, I don't mention at all. But the difference is, there's a few in the cupboard.
Yeah.
There's one in your family, isn't there?
Absolutely, John, yes.
Oh, you don't know him?
He's top of the list, and I'll tell you about him later.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Well, listen,
blimey.
can you demonstrate on Judy, before we see the little
Okay.
film we made with these guys, the principle behind the technique of this cleansing?
Okay, it's been around hundreds and hundreds of years. Homeopathics use it a lot. But if I was to quickly show you something, using 2 different items if I can. So can I ask you to stand?
Yeah.
Are you right-handed, left-handed?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to use your right arm so it's easy. Just put your right arm out like that for me. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to hold this orange.
Where? In my right
Now,
hand?
in that
there?
hand there. Now, I want you to look at the orange.
Yeah.
And would you say that oranges are good for you?
Yeah.
They're fruit, and we like fruit, and we want them to be good for us.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be like all of your good friends. I want you to
Right.
resist as much as possible when I push your arm down. Resist as much as you can. Cool. So, pretty strong.
Right.
Now, I want you to hold this whole lot of toffees and sweets. Now, I want you to think about all those friends you don't like.
But I like sweets.
I know you like sweets, but I want to know how good they are for you. But don't answer
All right,
that question.
okay.
Left arm out. Sorry, right arm out. Look at the
Then,
sweets.
and I'm thinking of the friends,
No,
people I don't like.
and I want you to think and look at those sweets
Your vampires.
and resist as much as you can. I really want you to resist as much as you can.
Oh, blimey, that works.
I know
Why
it
does
works.
it work?
Because we inherently know it's not good for us. We know sweets aren't good for us. I mean, you have to agree with that. And we know fruit's good for
So
us.
you're weakened by it. You're strengthened by the vitamin C packed orange, and you're weakened by the nasty toffees that pull your fillings out and make you fat.
Or whatever. But that could be our friends, and this could be our good pals.
Doesn't really matter.
You're a witch doctor, you are.
Well,
Honestly, you weren't doing that for the cameras.
No, honestly, not at all.
That's
Not
weird.
the slightest.
All right. Well, let's see you in action with these two now. I think this is quite amusing. Actually, let's have a go.
are you ready?
This one in particular, I've got him, yeah?
Okay, resist.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, kind of guess he's not the greatest friend of yours. However, he's a bit of a drain for you.
He's in the family.
I know, that's what I could tell, because you wanted to resist. You wanted to resist, man, I saw you. Really focus on that person, good or bad. Are you ready? And resist. God, blimey. Okay, that person's close to you.
Yeah.
So who was that?
That was Philippa, my sister.
Philippa, your sister. I want you to resist, though, this time.
Yeah.
Resist,
Yeah.
resist. Now, who are you thinking about that time?
My missus.
Yeah, I know. Now, why don't you spend more time with her? Let's do one other person, okay? You ready for this?
Yeah.
Resist as much as you can, but you go for that person. You ready?
Right.
And resist. I know you're trying to, but you know it's not working, isn't it? So who was that?
That was Christopher.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Sorry about that, Chris. Poor Chris. You...
So what was happening then there? You were thinking about Christopher,
In the
who you
truck,
love,
I bet.
who you love and adore.
In the truck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, him behind the truck is
Yeah,
definitely
I
a
thought
psychic
so.
vampire.
I think what I was saying was that there are times where Chris, for however much he loves him, does some things that just really wind her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those moments where it just annoys her, winds us up, and then she has to go and pick the kids up, she's annoyed from all that stuff that's going on, and it just affects her.
All right,
Yeah.
and what about this bloke in your family? We don't name him again. What does he do that winds you up?
He's the most irascible little fella. And he's my boy. I love him dearly, but we're opposite.
Right.
And unfortunately, I'll see him and I won't have a row with him.
And you say he's irascible.
But the way it works, he'll come in. I'm going out. What do you want? Can you lend me, not a tenner, not 50, you've got £30 to lend me. I say, why £30? Well, I've got to get a cab there, I've got to get a cab back.
But
Where are you going?
But you know what's so interesting? Even before he's met his son, he knows he's
busy.
coming up,
Yeah.
he knows he's going to be meeting him, and he's got himself set up, and we teach people how to treat us.
Well,
Yeah.
in the next 2 minutes, we move on to the potato stage. Now, we're going from vampires to spuds. How do you, obviously he's not going to sever the cords with his own son, but how do you sever the ties with the vampires that you don't want in your life anymore? What's the deal?
Okay, well, let me just explain, Karen. Would it be fair to say you've got a handbag?
Yes.
And when
Yep.
you've got your handbag of all your goodies and all the
Yep.
things that you want, if you were going to go shopping or you're going to go to a party, what would you have in your handbag? Just tell me a couple of items.
Purse, mobile,
Yeah.
file of facts.
If Chris was to give you all of his stuff, and I know he carries a big bag, and he gave you all of his stuff,
Yeah.
and it was in your bag,
Yeah.
how heavy would your bag be?
Fairly heavy.
How comfortable would you be shopping?
Not very comfortable.
Right, so what would you want to do then? Get rid of some stuff?
Yeah.
Now, isn't it amazing, when we have friends in our lives that don't work for us, they're what I call potatoes. And if I keep putting in a friend from school days you didn't get on with, who may have bullied you, a couple of your taxi buddies that harass you at the rank, a couple of people in the studio who've given you grief over some of the episodes that may not have been brilliant, something that happened in the past that didn't work. And eventually, what we do is we put all of our potatoes in a bag, and what happens is we carry it around with us. And we hold on for years and years and years, all of the anger, all of this belief. Now, the problem is, if you went shopping with this bag and you put your new shopping in this bag, what would happen to the new food?
It's all going to go mouldy.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So the mouldiness of this infects the new stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder how often all of us have had the situation that old friendships that aren't working infect us when we try and meet new people.
I can see that, but what about Johnny's dilemma here? In that, you know, that one of the big drains on his energy is clearly his own son, whom he loves very much. He's not going to sort of sever ties with him, is he?
Then he has a choice of doing two things. He has to get rid of lots of other energy blocks in his life, because the more of these old potatoes he can get rid of, he's then got more energy for his new friend, being his son. And what happens every time he walks up the driveway to his house? Have a guess what he's thinking before he even gets to the house.
What does he want now?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're thinking, isn't it?
Now,
Sew me pockets up, Nigel.
yeah, but you can't always do that, because what I'm suggesting from today is to get rid of everything from the past that doesn't work in your life. All those negative people, so that when you meet some of those people from today, you've got the energy to deal with them.
Well, I can speak from our own experience. We had a big potato, a really huge potato with knobs on.
Many years ago.
Many years ago in our lives, and I ejected this potato from a party. It was the best thing, my party, it was the best thing I ever did. This potato said, I'll never talk to you again, and that was great news too.
dehiring clients, getting rid of friends is the greatest feeling, because you just know, how did you feel after you got rid of them?
Fantastic.
And what more energy did you have in your relationship with Judy? What more relationship?
I tell you, I went more than 5 seconds that night.
Let's not go that place, but I'm sure you may have done. But you see, that's the whole point. And I wonder how many relationships are destroyed in that area.
Yeah.
They have a fight downstairs over a phone call, and then we go upstairs and we don't have the energy to do what we want to do.
Right,
So that's
on that energetic
throw out
end,
your potatoes.
we have to say, throw out all your potatoes and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.